good afternoon or good evening, wherever you may be sitting right now. Welcome to our information webinar on our environmental LLM and MSL programs. We're delighted that you're here, either live with us now in real time, or for those of you who may be listening to the recorded version of this later. Let me first start by introducing who will be speaking to you today and who we are here on the screen. I am Janice Weis, and I'm the Associate Dean of the Environmental, Natural Resources, and Energy Law Program. And I have the privilege of overseeing our LLM and MSL and JD environmental degree programs. But I really want to introduce the person who really plays a key role in our LLM and MSL programs in particular, and that is Tess Jacobsen, who is also on the screen with us today. And Tess is the Assistant Director for the environmental program and is your primary resource for all things LLM and MSL. So feel free after this session to reach out to either of us with any questions. We also have Delia Weedman's picture here on our Meet Our Team slide. We always like to introduce Delia. She's not on the webinar with us today, but Delia is our program coordinator, and she is also a fantastic resource with logistics and questions and all of that kind of thing. We will, of course, at the end provide our contact information so that you can easily reach us. But that is the trio that staffs the environmental program here at Lewis and Clark. And we, of course, work with our in-person students here on campus in Portland, and of course, our online students. So that is who we are. Tess and I are going to divide up our presentation today and give you an overview of both of our online degree programs. I should mention that we offer both of these degrees in person on our campus. If you're undecided about whether you would do the program online or in person, I just want to note that both of those options are available. And we can talk a little bit about mixing and matching, which some of our students do. So we have a really strong reputation in environmental law. If you've done any research on Lewis and Clark, you'll see that we are among the top environmental law programs in the country. We're often ranked number one, sometimes it's number two, but we are in the top of environmental law programs. In fact, we started teaching environmental law in 1970, right when environmental law was coming into being. That is the era in which federal environmental laws were being enacted. So we really came out strong with environmental law from the get-go. So we have a lot of experience and time spent in the field. So I mentioned that because as busy professionals with jobs and families and other obligations, you of course want to be sure that you are investing your degree and your professional development in a school with expertise in the area. So we certainly have that. So what is our approach to our online degrees in particular? So we have designed the degree programs to be what we call asynchronous, which many of you know who've done any sort of online education in your past, means that the lectures are pre-recorded and you are able to listen to the professor's lecture in a particular class at a time that is convenient for you. There are times when you need to start and complete the viewing of those lectures, but it's within that time period that you have the flexibility to listen to the lecture for each of our modules, each of our units in the class. So if getting up early in the morning and listening to the lecture and doing the reading works for you, your lunch hour, evening, weekends, whatever it is, The asynchronous approach allows for that flexibility. It also allows us to accommodate and work with students in every time zone because you can have that flexibility to study at a time that is convenient for you. Now, having said that, a big question always is technical support. And we've been doing the online program, the LLM program we started in fall of 2019. And then we added the master's degree a year later. So we've had a lot of experience in these past years. We work with an excellent online vendor who helps us develop our courses with excellent video quality, excellent audio visuals, helps us set up intriguing discussion questions along the way. So we have a really good support system. In addition, 24/7, if you're having technical difficulties or can't access something, we have that support. And I know that's important to have that quality control when you're looking for online options. I should also say, just to make sure that everyone knows the two degree programs that we have, um, our LLM program is, of course, for students who already have their law degree and who are looking to add to that law degree with a specialization in environmental law and policy. And by law degree in the United States, that's a JD degree, Juris Doctor degree. But it can also be the equivalent degree in other countries. Other countries call their law degrees different things. So it could be an LLB, it could be a JD. So the LLM is for folks who already have their law degree. The MSL, which stands for Master of Studies of Law, is for folks who have an undergraduate degree, and again, it's equivalent in various countries, and who don't want to go to law school, don't particularly want to be a lawyer, but would benefit from knowledge of environmental law and policy in their professional development. So it is truly a master's degree in the sense that it is a post-undergraduate degree. So hopefully that clarifies the two different kinds of degrees that we have. So with that, um, I will talk a bit about our approach and what courses we offer, because that's the good stuff, right? What kind of stuff do we offer and what kind of classes are we talking about here? I should say that the classes are taught by, in almost every case, the same professors who teach the class here in person on campus. A few of our classes, we have what we call adjunct professors teaching them, but by and large, all of our classes, same professor that you would get here in person, which we think is pretty great. On your screen now is a list of courses that we offer. Some of these are offered every year or every summer. Some of these are offered every other year. And we try to have a couple of years planned out so that you can see in advance what is offered when. And what we have done is created what we call a curated list of courses that we think are critical for somebody who wants to go into this field. And so we've tried to include a combination of basic bedrock critical classes. Those are classes like administrative law and environmental law, foundational courses, we call them. And then a nice mix of regulatory pollution type of classes, such as hazardous waste, and natural resources classes, such as wildlife law, water law, natural resources. We've thrown in an international environmental law course as well. That's very important. And then we're developing and adding new topics as we go. For example, the third class on this list we have environmental impact assessment is a new class we just started offering this spring. And it is a wonderful class that covers the National Environmental Policy Act and how in the US we use that statute to review environmental effects of federal agency actions. But the professor also is looking at internationally. What do other countries do to effectuate this kind of environmental impact assessment? So that's a really great class. We have a land use class that we're working on getting into the rotation. So this is not intended to be a complete list, but just to give you a sampling of the nice diversity of classes that we have. We'll talk a little bit about summer. Summer is a great time to take administrative law. If you're an LLM candidate and you already took administrative law in law school, you don't have to repeat it unless it's been a long, long time and you'd like to repeat it. Lots of new things have been happening in administrative law, as you all may know. We offer administrative law every summer in an asynchronous format. For the last couple of summers, we have offered a special seminar. It is taught via Zoom, so in a live time format, but by Zoom, so you can still be wherever you are. And that's a climate law seminar. And it's basically cutting edge topics in climate law. And we have a wonderful professor who's been teaching that for us in the summer. And so we don't overload the summer with a bunch of classes because it's a short term. It's 10 weeks as opposed to 13 weeks fall and spring. And it also provides just a little bit of breathing room if you need a break between semesters. But we are planning to add perhaps another Zoom course in the summer as we go along. So that's a sense of our courses. And then, oh, thanks, Tess. We have the fall classes coming up. Um, Ocean and Coastal, a very popular offering. Environmental law, we offer every fall. It, along with administrative law, is one of our required courses for both of our degree programs. I mentioned our new land use planning class, and I teach a course. Actually, these are Tess's and my classes, these last two bullets. I teach emerging topics in environmental law, and that is a 1 credit course. So it's nicely manageable. The other courses are 3 credits, 1 credit class, and it's literally things that are ripped out of the headlines. What is the Supreme Court doing in the environmental arena? What did EPA do last week? What is happening on the international stage in terms of climate negotiations? So that's a class that really helps you become literate in current events that are happening. And they're really all over the map, literally. So it's just fun to get a smattering of hot issues. So that's what that class is. And then Tess teaches a wonderful course. It's a introduction class that prepares MSL and international LLMs for US study. Finally, the legal research class that is on the slide, that we have offered before and are offering again in kind of a new format. That will allow MSL and LLM students to do research, to learn all the tools that are available to you to conduct legal research in the environmental field, taught by our librarians who obviously know how to do that kind of research. And we have found that's really helpful, particularly if you haven't been doing, if you're an LLM, you haven't been doing legal research or not doing it in the environmental field. And then, of course, for MSL students, it really helps provide a nice introduction to legal research because you haven't had that law school experience. So we're excited to have that back in our lineup. And then I'll talk about where our alums are and then turn it over to Tess. We should both emphasize that we know that students come to us with all kinds of backgrounds and experiences. You've all had different undergraduate majors and areas of study. You may have another, advanced degree already. You may have lots of experience in environmental law or zero experience in environmental law and policy. And I mentioned that because we will try to tailor your experience in our programs to help you with the job part of things. Um, for example, you may benefit from doing what we call an externship, which is an internship, but we call it an externship. And it allows you to get some practical experience along the way. That may be something that really helps you with your job search. So I just mentioned that because everyone's path will vary as to what jobs you're seeking and what you're looking for. Um, but we have an amazing alumni network. We have over 1,000 environmental law folks around the US and the world. And I would mention also that we've been doing the in-person LLM program since 1988. So you can kind of do the math and see how many years we've been doing the LLM program. Lots of LLM alums out there. The master's program is a little bit newer, but we have an in-person program that started before the online. Lots of alums doing cool things. And then our JD alums who do environmental work, they are also happy to be part of this network. So, as you may know, environmental jobs can fall into various sectors. Generally, we call those nonprofit, NGO, working for the Sierra Club or Save the Wild Salmon, any number of NGOs, regional and national and international. Government, federal agencies, state agencies, and then municipalities like cities and counties often have environmental lawyers or policy folks on their staff, depending on their size. And then the private sector, which can include private law firms or in-house counsel, or if you're a master's student and you want to do sustainability work for a company, that is definitely an avenue. We also have alums that have gone on to teach at all levels, and these degrees can be very helpful in advancing the ball towards an academic career. We have students at international organizations, and then, as I mentioned, working with businesses. So that's a lot. That's a lot. And I mention that because that's the world of environmental law and policy. There are jobs available in these sectors, and our students are working in all of them. So if you have a particular vision for your professional career, the next chapter, or you're enhancing a current chapter, um, be sure and reach out if you want to talk more about what are our alums doing in the nonprofit world? What are our alums doing in government work, private sector? We can give you a lot more detail about those jobs. But LLMs are doing litigation, transactional work. Master's students are doing serving as liaisons between a legal office and a policy office. They are writing policy papers. So it really runs the gamut of environmental positions. So that's just kind of a broad sense of that. And again, ask us, particular questions if you want to know more along the lines of what you have in mind for yourself. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Tess to talk about um, program requirements and other good things.
Thank you, Janice. Thank you all for joining us today. I appreciate you all being here. As Janice mentioned, I'm going to walk through a little bit of our program requirements and then take you through the application process, what we require, and some important deadlines as well. And just so you know, I did drop a link in the chat that links to our past webinars and to what Janice was speaking about with jobs and things like that. We actually have a webinar completely dedicated to the return on investment of these degrees where you can hear from prior recent graduates as well. So I definitely recommend checking out those webinars too after this one. So for our LLM degree, the requirements that we have is for US students, it's 26 credit hours. Required courses, as Janice mentioned earlier, is administrative law, environmental law, and the 2 semesters of that emerging topics course. Beyond that, you can pick and choose which classes you want to take based on areas that you may want to practice in, or if you want a more general focus. You can also do externships. We also allow independent research projects where you can do a deep dive, usually a research paper into a topic of your choice. Oftentimes, students might do that on a topic that we don't offer a class in currently, and they're overseen by a faculty member on that. And you come out with a really strong writing sample at the end of that project as well. And that's available to both LLMs or MSL students. International LM students have to complete 28 credit hours, and the reason for that is that you have the 2 additional credits for the Introduction to U.S. Legal Studies course that I teach. So that's why you have those 2 additional credits to complete. However, administrative law is not a required course for international students, though it is strongly recommended. Mostly because administrative law is just a foundation for environmental laws in the US and many other countries as well. So that's a really strong foundational course, but it's not required because it is strictly US focused. Yep, and then at least 18 of those 26 credit hours must be in environmental law courses. You are able to take classes outside of the environmental law curriculum. With our online program, we also have an animal law online program. So, sometimes our students might want to take 1 or 2 classes in that program as well. And that is an option, or even we do offer some JD classes via Zoom as well. So some of our students are able to take those classes as well. So that's definitely something that is an option if you would like. For our MSL students, it's very similar program requirements. The US and international students both have 26 credit hours as well. And with the credit hours too, you can take as many credits as you want each semester or as few as you want. Most of our classes are going to be 3 credits with the exception of emerging topics, which is 1 credit each semester, and a couple other courses that are 2 credits. We have a pay per credit system, which means you're only paying for the amount of credits you're taking each semester. And we do currently have a discounted tuition rate for our online students. This year it's $1,696 or $1,696 per credit. The tuition for the next academic year hasn't been announced yet, but we'll definitely have that in the next month or so. And the benefit of that paper credit is that since you're not paying for, a full semester to tuition or anything like that, you're able to take as few credits as you want. So we have some students who take one 3-credit course each semester, and take 3 to 4 years to complete the program. The average time for both programs to complete it is about 18 to 24 months, or about 4 semesters. Obviously, that can be accelerated if you take more credits or if you take summer courses as well. For our MSL students, the required courses is the Introduction to U.S. Environmental Studies, Administrative Law, and Environmental Law as well. So again, many of the same required courses that our LLM students have. And again, 18 of the 26 credit hours must be in the environmental law courses. And MSL students are also allowed to participate in externships or practical experiences as well. So that's another when Janice is talking about getting that practical experience and being able to connect to the alums, that's something we definitely encourage, and we try to help facilitate as much as possible, working with us and the faculty in our career services office as well to give you those opportunities. I'm going to briefly go over some of the application requirements. For our online LLM, as Janice mentioned, this degree is designed for people who already have a law degree, though you do not have to be barred. So Again, that's going to be either a JD if you're a US student, an LLB, usually if you're an international student or something equivalent to that. Usually it's a degree that would allow you to practice law or to sit for the bar exam in another country. If you have any questions on which program or which degree your undergrad or graduate degree would satisfy, let us know. We're happy to, look at that for you and let you know which program would be best. With our LLM students, we're really looking for an excellent academic record, strong legal research and writing skills. This will be represented through the transcripts that you send in, oftentimes through, your letters of recommendation and things. We really love letters that discuss things like that. I'll be going a little bit more into detail on the application requirements a little bit later on. Probably the biggest thing, though, what we look for in the students is the genuine interest in environmental natural resources or energy law. This is will be represented in your personal statement, really, maybe through other experiences, whether your current work, volunteer experiences, things like that. But really, that personal statement that you're going to write, that is where you're really going to be able to highlight, why you're interested in this field of law, what you plan to use the degree for, and how you hope that this will help you in your career. Because our program is strictly focused on environmental, natural resources, and energy law, aside from the couple classes you might be able to take outside of it, that genuine interest and that desire to have this take you in the next steps in your career is really important. And then for our MSL students, very similar, except that you don't need that law degree. So any bachelor's degree from an accredited US or international college or university is perfectly fine. It can be in anything. We've had people from all across the gambit, bachelor's of arts, bachelor's of sciences, people with journalism backgrounds, people with teaching backgrounds, people who come from sciences. So definitely your undergrad major isn't necessarily important at all, but you just have to be a graduate from an accredited institution. Again, we're also looking for that excellent academic record and the strong analytical and writing skills. We realize that MSL students don't have a legal background at all, so we're not looking necessarily for any type of legal research or legal background at all. But what we are looking for is that you're able to write well. You'll demonstrate this through a writing sample that you'll send in with your application. Usually this is a paper that you maybe did for undergrad or a recent work product or something like that. But just something that shows that you're able to, form a thesis, have an argument, write cohesively, because a lot of what you'll be doing in your classes requires a lot of strong writing skills and analyzing. And again, that genuine interest in environmental, natural resources, and energy law. I think that if you're interested in the program, that's probably going to be really easy to demonstrate. But that's what we're looking for in our MSL students as well. So a little bit about what we require in our application. So as I mentioned, they're going to have an online application form for the MSL or the LLM program, or in-person form if you're looking at the in-person program. We have two separate forms, but we allow students to go between both programs. So if you're accepted to the online program, you're also accepted to the in-person program. There's no difference in the application process or what we're looking for or anything like that to either program. And you're allowed to switch between the two programs as well. So we have some students who maybe just do a semester here. We have some students who live here in Portland and are mostly online because they're working and then maybe just, end up taking a class or two or do the entire program online. So there's flexibility in that. And again, no distinguishing between the two programs. We're looking same application process. We're looking for the same things. That's for both the LLMs and the MSLs. And then you're going to have that statement of interest. Again, that doesn't have to be super long, one page, about 500 words or so. And again, that's just going to talk about your interest in the program, how you plan to use the degree, how you think it might help you, and then also your interest in environmental, natural resources, or energy law. We'll also ask for your resume. This can be just your regular business resume. It doesn't have to be anything that you create specifically for the program or anything, but something that highlights your past work experience, qualifications, things like that. And then we'll also be looking for your transcripts. Unofficial transcripts are completely fine for the admissions process. If you are admitted and accept our offer, at that point, we'll ask for the official transcripts, but there's no need to pay for it during the application process or anything. You can just send us a PDF or a screenshot of your unofficial transcripts with your application. For the LLM, if you're applying for the LLM, we only need your JD or your LLB or the equivalent law degree transcripts. You don't need to send us any other graduate programs or any other undergrads or any transcripts or anything like that. For the MSL program, we're just looking for your bachelor's degree transcripts. Again, there's no need to send additional transcripts unless for some reason you might want to. Um, and again, unofficial is totally fine. And then we're also looking for 2 to 3 letters of recommendation. Your letters of recommendation should really come from supervisors, colleagues, somebody who knows you in a professional capacity, who can speak to those things that we're looking for in our students, who maybe have overseen some of your writing products or have experience working with you in an analytical way or can speak to your work ethic or your ability to succeed in a classroom environment. Professors are really great writers of letters of recommendation if you still have connections with your professors, but that's not required necessarily. Many of our students are coming to the program years after being out of their last academic program, so maybe they've lost connection with those professors or anything. So work supervisors, colleagues are perfectly great letters recommenders as well. MSL and international applicants, we do ask for a writing sample. Again, that's to show, for international applicants, that's to show your proof of English proficiency, especially if you don't have an IELTS score or a TOEFL score. That writing sample will be really important. For our MSL students, we're just looking to make sure, because you haven't been through a JD program, that the writing, that you'll be able to keep up with that. And again, something you wrote for undergrad does not have to be environmental in nature, can be about any topic that you would like at all. And then for international students, we are looking for that proof of English proficiency. That doesn't necessarily have to be one of these test scores. If you have one of these test scores, that's great. But if you don't, if your undergrad was taught in English, or if English is, the primary language spoken in your country, if you have other proof, you can set up an interview and things like that as well with us to be able to prove that. Again, through your writing sample would be good as well. So that's the proof of English proficiency that we're looking for. There's flexibility in that. If you have any questions about that, feel free to reach out to us. We're always happy to provide clarification on that too. Some important deadlines and reminders. So our priority applications for a summer start date are April 15th. Summer starts on the Tuesday after Memorial Day, so that's May 26th this year. And then we do accept applications on a rolling basis, or we review applications on a rolling basis. We accept them year round. So that priority application deadline, that'll give you prime consideration for seats in the class, prime consideration for scholarships, things like that. We may accept them after that date as well. It just kind of depends on how close we're getting to the start of classes, and how full the class is looking. The fall 26 priority deadline is May 1st, with a final deadline of July 15th for the online program. We do have different deadlines if you're an international in-person student because of the additional steps that it takes to come in person. But those you can start in the online program if there's ever issues with your visa or anything like that. Decisions are usually sent out within 2 to 3 weeks of receiving the application. Our admissions committee reviews them, makes a decision, and then we'll get that out to you. Of course, sometimes there's, delays or anything like that, but we try to communicate with you and get those decisions out to you so you're able to make a decision on the program and things like that as well. For those of you who may be applying for federal financial aid in the US, definitely fill out your FAFSA. That is available for the next academic year already. That opens up in October for the next year. So if you're applying for fall 2026, get that FAFSA completed. You do not have to be admitted, or you don't even have to have applied yet to submit the FAFSA. You'll just submit the school code, and then when you are an admitted student, they'll be able to get your records and give you that financial aid decision. quicker. If they have to wait for you to fill it out or anything like that, it can take a delay in getting that financial aid decisions to you. I mentioned that our summer classes begin May 26th, and as Janice mentioned, those are typically 10 weeks, or it's a 10-week session, and so those end in early August, and then our fall courses begin in mid-August. We haven't determined quite yet the start date for that, but usually generally around the middle of August is when the intro course will start, and then if you are not taking the intro course, our regular fall classes start around the end of August. I also wanted to briefly mention the scholarships that we offer. So again, apply by that April 15th deadline if you're applying for summer for that priority consideration for scholarships. If you're interested in scholarships, we have a form for you to complete. They're based on merit and need. Feel free to reach out and we can send you that form so you can include it in your application, or you can always submit it after as well if you just want to get your application in and then want to fill out that tuition award request. Up to 25% scholarships. It's a discount. The way that our scholarships work is it's a discount on the price of tuition. So essentially, if you get a 25% off or 25% scholarship, your scholarship is going to reduce that per credit cost by 25%. So you're only paying for 75% of that per credit cost. And again, that's because of the pay per credit system. So it's not a set dollar amount every semester. It's in order so that you have that flexibility with how many credits you have to take. And again, those are based on merit and need. So we'll ask for some basic financial information. We don't ask for bank statements or proof of any of it, but we'll ask for some basic financial information and then some merit information. If you've received any work accolades or awards or published papers, things like that. And these tuition awards are unconditional for the duration of the program. So as long as you remain in good academic standing, you are going to have that tuition award throughout your time in the program. I should mention that we do have a slightly higher in-person tuition rate than our online rate, but your tuition award will continue to provide the same amount of tuition, even if you decide to come in person and have to pay that slightly higher fee, or if you decide to stay online. And then, in case you're still thinking, not quite sure you want to apply by summer, there's no rush at all. Again, we accept applications year-round and we admit on that rolling basis. So we do have starts in January, May, and August every year. So January is spring semester, May is summer session, and then August is fall semester. Our semesters are 13 weeks, as Janice mentioned. And then one-on-one counseling is available. So if you have any questions or anything, any questions about how to curate your best application, any questions about the program or what semester might be best for you, feel free to reach out. I'm always happy to meet one-on-one with you and to answer any questions that you have as well. And I think that is time for questions. So if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the Q&A.
Yes, definitely. Let me echo that. If you've got questions, drop them in the Q&A. We'll track that and try to scoop them up as they come in. And again, if you have questions that are more in depth, don't hesitate to reach out to us, and we're happy to sort of walk through your personal path and interest. I do want to toss out some frequently asked questions that may help illuminate certain areas of these programs. One thing I want to highlight that Tess mentioned is we do have three terms, fall, spring, and summer. And she noted that there are application deadlines that go with our different terms. So just to emphasize that you can start in any of those three terms. So fall, August, spring, January, or summer. So I just wanted to make sure they're, whatever works for you. And actually, there's a related question in the Q&A. If classes are not available every semester, is the schedule available online before we are admitted? And generally, the answer to that is yes. The classes that we have every year are set The classes that are every other year are pretty dialed in. So you would know, for example, ocean and coastal law is going to be offered in fall of 2026 and again in fall of 2028. And so there's a pretty good rotation. We do have to change the rotation if one of our faculty is going on sabbatical. So that can disrupt our otherwise, nice pattern. But we generally know that pretty far in advance. Um, the other sort of variable is with the new classes that we are adding. We will be able to tell you, for example, when the new land use class is coming online. Um, but we're working on a couple of other classes that we don't quite know when we're going to pop them in. But we would hopefully have a sense of that when you're deciding about your admission. So we know that's an important piece of your decision. So we do try to make our schedule available. Tess, do you want to answer that second question about scholarship amounts?
Yeah, of course. So, yeah, so with the institutional tuition award, that's the 25%. That is usually the maximum that we offer. There might be a little bit of flexibility based on merit and need. We don't offer full scholarships, though, so that's just something to note that we do not offer full scholarships through the institution. Um, and that is in addition to the discounted rate that you're already receiving, that is about 25%. So it's really about 50% off if you were to get both from our in-person to the online program. But other funding sources, if you're an LLM student, a really great resource is what's a website called the LLM Guide, and that will offer a lot of scholarships available to LLM students. There's also an international scholarship data bank website that's really great for master's students, graduate programs in general. A quick Google search, honestly, that's as unspecific as that is. That's usually a really great way to start about it. Putting in scholarships for master's students studying environmental law. That will result in a bunch of websites, programs, particular organizations that might have scholarships available. Also, a lot of times, sometimes governments, nonprofit organizations might offer scholarships. So definitely checking with those as well. If you're an international student, checking with your local country or government. Oftentimes they have scholarships available for study abroad programs. Otherwise, checking even with your local or state government. If you're a domestic student, sometimes they might have scholarships available as well. If you're currently working, sometimes your employer might offer a match or might offer a tuition reduction. A lot of our students are able to reduce the cost of their tuition because their job offers them, $5,000 a semester to put towards their education, or their you could call it professional development if this is a degree that applies towards your job. Even if it's not something they advertise, sometimes asking your boss, going in, showing them how this degree would enhance the work that you're already doing, enhance their business, or their organization, that might be a way to get a little bit of money as well. So definitely check out all of those options as well. We have in our FAQs, we have links to some of those resources that I mentioned as well. So I'll drop the link in the chat for those too.
And as Tess mentioned, talk to us, right? If you have a high need that may not be covered by any of these sources, including the ones that we can offer, reach out, reach out. If you're admitted and you really want to do the program, and we're happy to talk to you. So don't consider it, a absolute dead end. We're always happy to see if we can work something out. So be sure to let us know. Tess has put in the chat the current academic year schedule, just so you can see what that looks like typically. I will continue with some other frequently asked questions, but again, welcome your questions as well. We often get a question about access to other resources on campus. Since you're an online student, what other resources do you have access to? So it's worth addressing that excuse me. Um, our career services office is great about serving the online students. So there's a way you can make appointments with our career services staff. They, in fact, have links that make it easy to make appointments with them. You would be able to have one-on-one counseling appointments with a career services person via Zoom or on the telephone. Um, we also host throughout the academic year various informational webinars for our online students. And those always include an appearance and a discussion by our Career Services Office of all of the resources that they offer. So in that webinar, they would walk you through where the jobs are posted. We do one for LLMs and one for master's students. So that's nice to know that you have that office to work with. All of our professors are also happy to have a Zoom conversation with any of our students. If you have a question about class or you want to just talk about your career plans, that is very much available. And many of our professors will host regular Zoom office hours where you can drop in. We highly encourage our students to take advantage of that, have some questions for the professor, make sure that you're getting the material, all that stuff. So pretty much every office on campus, financial aid, career services, counseling, etc., our online students have access to. So I wanted to highlight that. Another question that we often get is, what is the setup for your online classes? And what do they look like? And Tess provided a link to past webinars that we've done. And we've done webinars that walk you through a typical online class. So check that out if you want real detail. But in essence, they include a lecture by the professor, again, pre-recorded, on a particular topic under the rubric of the class. There will be readings that go with it. And then to make the class interactive, so you don't feel like you're floating alone out there in cyberspace, just listening to videos and doing reading, the professor will have for each module a discussion question that is designed to make sure that you're understanding the material or requiring you to think about your opinion of the particular issue. And you will post a response to that question and then post a response to your classmates. Not all of them, it's usually at least one. That's nice because it allows things to be interactive in the sense that you're exchanging ideas with your fellow students. Sometimes there's a quiz, which actually are very good for us to make sure we're understanding the material. What we have found with the online format is that it is really well matched to the way that adult learners learn because you need to keep up with the material all semester because you're doing these discussion posts with every module, or you're doing a quiz. So it requires you to keep up. And then we have found that our online students are very well prepared for the exam or the paper that they're going to write, because they're not cramming at the end, right? Like we can do in an in-person class, we can kind of get away with that. So the online is sort of a regular engagement, which really has some good impact on your learning. The videos are great quality. We have them professionally done. And again, we have a webinar that walks you through all of that. Um, oh, do we use Canvas? Thank you. We should have mentioned that. Thank you, Colleen, for asking that. We use Canvas. Um, we started with a different online platform with a different vendor. We have switched over to using Canvas. And of course, every learning management platform has phenomenal things and some quirks. Um, but we have found Canvas, compared to other platforms that we have checked out and used, to be pretty intuitive. Um, and we know that a lot of our students have experience with Canvas. So The answer is yes, we do use Canvas. And we're experimenting with sort of maximizing our use of Canvas and all of its tools. Um, so it's so far been a very a good match for these particular classes. Just making sure I'm not missing any other questions. Um, Another question that we get is what if and it kind of relates to the earlier question about the class schedule. What if in any given semester there's not a class that grabs me, or that if I'm an LLM student, I already took in law school, or I'm having a super busy semester at work with family, whatever it is, and I can't really spare the time to take a 3 credit class. What are my options? We offer what we call an individual research opportunity. And that is you can write a paper on an environmental topic of your choice, and we then connect you with one of our environmental faculty to work with you on that paper. So that's a really great option if, for example, you want to take a deep dive into a particular subject, or you want to get a better exposure to a particular issue, topic, or area. Or you just want some flexibility. You need to take a break from the online classes, and you want more of a work on your own pace. So we do get that question quite a bit. And it's not for everybody. Not everybody wants to write a paper, but a lot of people do. And a lot of people really enjoy that experience. So I wanted to mention that. Um,
We did have a
I am,
question.
oh, yeah.
No, we did have a question come in through the Q&A, and I typed a response, but for those watching the recording later, I want to make sure that we answer it live too. So they were wondering about the combining the environmental law and or the animal law MSL degrees.
Oh, great. Tess mentioned that you can cross take some classes. So that is obviously one option. So I'll be more clear. You can be admitted to the environmental law MSL program and take a few animal law classes. As Tess mentioned, they also offer an MSL and LLM fully online, and we like to allow cross passage into the classes. So you could represent then to an employer that you focused on environmental law, but had this additional emphasis on animal law. So that's one way to do it. We don't currently offer a joint degree where you could do both programs in the same bucket, so to speak. We do have students who want to get both an animal law and an environmental law, MSL or LLM, and we do allow some double counting. So you would not have to take all 26 credits of the environmental law, MSL, and all 26 credits of the animal law MSL. We allow a double counting so that you could do both degrees in less time and less credits than if you did them one at a time. I hope that answers your question. Because there's actually overlap, as you might imagine, in those two fields, and we do get interest in that crossover. Tess, am I missing any other questions in the Q&A?
I
Let me
think
check.
that was
Okay,
it.
great. Okay, thanks, Melanie. It looks like we answered your question. Um, well, I think that's probably enough for all of you to digest for now. So we will stop talking and let you go on to enjoy your evenings. And again, please don't hesitate to reach out. We have contact information on this last slide. Um, Tess, any final words?
No, thank you all so much for joining us today. I appreciate you taking the time out of your evenings to be here and listen to us.
Great. Well, thank you, everybody. We look forward to hearing from you.